Hey everybody, it's Galmadex, and welcome back to some more Premier Drafts of Kaldheim on Magic Arena. Our rare today is Waking the Trolls, a very slow card, but potentially a very powerful one. 6 mana to destroy a land, and then next turn bring a land from a graveyard back onto your battlefield, and then on the third turn, create 4/4 Troll Warriors equal to the difference between the number of lands you control and the number of lands your opponent controls. So ideally, if everything goes right with this card and you and your opponent have hit all of your land drops, this is spitting out 2 Trolls for 6 mana. Although it is for 6 mana and a few turns later. However, this format does have some games that can go quite long and be pretty grindy, and you can really draft around this card and try to set up a deck that would go for a grindy game with a card like this. And there's some ways in green to get some extra lands out of your deck to try to make the difference even greater. Cards like Horizon Seeker at common even. So I am going to take Waking the Trolls there just because nothing else in that pack was incredibly powerful, although I don't think that this is one of the greatest bomb rares just because it is very slow. But if it goes off, it really goes off, and it's quite powerful. So, this is going to be a hard pick because this pack is actually quite spicy. If we want to take something just to go with Waking the Trolls, which we absolutely could because there are several powerful cards that would just go with it, we could take Frostbite for just efficient, cheap red removal, Spirit of the Alderguard to go for one of the green-based snow decks. This would also grab a land when we play it, so it combos quite well with Waking the Trolls, making sure that we're hitting extra lands. And yeah, the Waking the Trolls fits really well into the green-based snow strategies, so I think Spirit of the Elderguard's pretty nice here. And then there's Icehide Troll. So there's 3 like really strong cards to go with just Waking the Trolls, but there's also Agar, and I love blue-red giants. I think I'm gonna go with Spirit of the Alderguard here. And I actually want to try maybe doing one of these heavily multicolored snow type decks. We'll see how it pans out for us. But I have yet to try like really going for snow and really going for just kind of a slower, splashier deck in general. Although this format, I've seen it be very powerful. You can definitely splash in other colors, especially in green in this format, to great success. So for snow decks here, we have Bergstrider. It is in blue, so that would just solidify us into at least splashing one color. To go with Waking the Trolls and Spirit of the Alderguard, just what we have already, we could take Horizon Seeker for another thing that takes lands. The best cards in this pack are probably Bound in Gold and Coal, maybe even Fearless Liberator, but Bound in Gold and Coal are pretty similar in power level, and Bound in Gold is just a monocolored card, so maybe the Bound in Gold. I think I'm going to go with Bergstrider, though. It is a really solid card, and it'll go with all of my picks if I do manage to play like 3 color snow, and even if I end up being just 2 colors, maybe I could be like blue-green snow here with 2 viable snow cards. I really like Augury Raven as a blue common in general, no matter what our deck ends up being, but Glittering Frost is going to be very solid if we are a heavily multicolored, splashy kind of snow deck. Hopefully these will go pretty late. So far none of the snowlands have been taken, but they're also not the best snow colors. The heaviest snow colors, the best ones, are usually green, blue, and red, I would say. I guess black has a decent amount of snow as well, but I feel white just doesn't have a lot. So Augury Raven, Glittering Frost, I think are the best picks here. Maybe even just Horizon Seeker for splashing things in. I'm going to take the Augury Raven. We've just seen 2 of the best blue common creatures in a row, so we'll take the multiples there. I like Masked Vandal a lot in green, no matter what the green half of our deck ends up being. 2 mana for a 1/3, and if you play this later in the game, you can exile a creature from your graveyard to exile an artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. That ability is almost always relevant, and it can quite often hit something very dangerous from your opponent. So this ability has just done a ton of work, and this is a card I really didn't look at all when the format first came out, but after playing with and against it a few times, this card overperforms so often. And we're already pretty likely to be green. We could end up in just like a green-blue regular deck here that doesn't have much to do with snow. I'm really not liking the snowlands I'm seeing here. We've just seen a ton of like white and black snowlands, which is super, super awkward. Because of the fact that we're trying to do literally all the other colors of snow. We're trying to be green, blue, red snow. So yeah, not loving that. We could take Priest of the Haunted Edge and just go for 5-color snow. This is very solid if you have tons and tons and tons of snowlands in your deck. Although, I do love me a Giant's Amulet, and blue has been pretty open so far. We got Bergstrider and Augury Raven. Although it is very early in the picks, this is only pick 6 here, but there's 3 good blue cards in this pack, so I think blue is like... blue's pretty solidly open, so we can stick to taking blue cards. These green cards are not very exciting. Arachnoform's just not very good because it's easy to get 2 for 1 if your opponent uses a removal spell on your creature. They're killing 2 of your cards at the price of just 1 of yours. Not Vold Recluse, just a low toughness creature for 3 mana. It trades down into most of the 2 mana creatures in the format, just like a 2 mana 2/2. So not great there, but it can give you reach when you need it in green decks. However, if we're green, we're going to be green-blue here, and we'll already just have blue flyers. And Guardian Gladewalker is just like a 1/1 that comes into play with a counter. I think the strongest card could be Crush the Weak, and it would be really good in like a red-blue Giants deck. So I'm just going to take the strongest card in the pack. Maybe we even pivot back into red-blue, and this card's even playable if we do end up all 3 of these colors, if we end up in green, blue, red. Now, Sculptor of Winter, Horizon Seeker, or the Snowland. There's also Gold Vein Pick, which is solid, but I don't think it's for our strategy. We're going to be one of those slower, grindier decks, almost guaranteed. See how our curve looks. It's really early to look at our curve, but this is a 5-mana creature. This is not on curve. We're just playing at whatever, so we just got a 2-drop and a 4-drop. I guess we don't really need to worry about curve. Kind of want to pick up Sculptor of Winter here, because I am really going for the Snowland thing in the future. So, yeah, this pack's pretty weak all around. Jaspera Sentinel can be good in like a 5-color deck, and then we just have a couple mediocre red cards, an okay black card. I guess I'll take a Provoke the Trolls. There's a snow-covered forest. So that is like the best color of Snowland to get, and it's going to work with Sculptor of Winter. This format's really hard to draft, especially when you're trying to do a snow deck, because of the fact that you just like have to take Snowlands over cards that are solidly playable, like Saw It Coming and stuff. Like, this card is good. I don't hate it, but I think we really need to take a Snowland here because we've got Sculptor of Winter, Spirit of the Alderguard, and Bergstrider. And we're likely to get more stuff that cares about snow. We need to take those highly. Pick 11 bound in gold. Is that a good sign for white? I mean, it's gotta be, but I don't feel like I've seen a ton of other white in the packs. Maybe the packs have just had sort of a weird distribution all around. Could also just take Cinderheart Giant, but I mean, pick 11 bound in gold. I think I have to hop in on that. Don't know if I'll end up with that. Now we could take Cinderheart Giant, because we could end up being some kind of weird Rampy Giants deck. Weird 3-color Rampy Giants. Yeah, I guess Horizon Seeker is more likely to see play here. Helping us mana fix and helping us make sure to draw land every turn to get to our 6-mana card, Waking the Trolls. Now we'll just take the blue creature. We're pretty far off from forging the Tyrite Sword. We're just not red-white equipment at all, and I highly doubt we end up in that. And a Vault Robber or a Master Scald. We're not really doing either of these things. Guess we'll take Vault Robber. We definitely have more red than white, although our 1 white card is very good. Alright, see what we've opened up in our second pack here. Not a lot. Honestly, I think I'm going to take the Snow Mountain. Our rare Reckless Crew just doesn't do a whole lot unless you are really, really in the equipment deck, and even then, I would be hesitant to run this when there's just 4 mana to create 2 2/1 Berserkers at common. I forget what that card is called, but that card also has Foretell, so this is just almost always worse than the common version. Bloodline Pretender is pretty much good in any deck. Because you only have to get the... If you get 2 counters on it, then it's a decently impressive card for the cost. If you only get 1 counter, it's not very good. Bind the Monsters, solid here. We don't have any removal in the blue-green-red deck. Actually, we have Crush the Weak and Provoke the Trolls. Yeah, I'll take the Snow-Covered Mountain. This also gives us a red source to grab off of Spirit of the Alderguard, so Spirit of the Alderguard also works as fixing. I do like Replicating Ring in these snow decks, although I am passing up on a mythic rare that we could splash, because we could try to do the full 5-color snow thing. This is return all creatures of a creature type of your choice to the graveyard, or from the graveyard to the battlefield. So it is quite powerful. You can usually get like 2 things with this in the very late game, but right now our creature types are very, very all over the place, but green and blue are the 2 colors with changelings in the set, so I think we'll probably end up with enough changelings that this will do some stuff. Don't really want to take it before I take the mana fixing though, and I like the Replicating Ring for the mana fixing. I do like Bergstrider as well, but I'm really wanting to pick up snow sources just to make sure I can do that, and I'm wanting to pick up mana fixing, cards that can tap for any color, and this just fills both of those roles quite well. Dragonkin Berserker. This is a really solid red card. The somewhat awkward thing about this is that our red is really a splash, so we're looking for red cards that are just a big impact in the very late game. I guess this is like a single 5/5 flying dragon. Even if you draw it in the late game, you can probably attack with it 1 time just to sacrifice it and get a dragon out. Maybe we're supposed to take that here, but I kind of want to just take Bergstrider. Could also take the Alpine Meadow. I feel like we're just seeing enough solid cards like Bergstrider that we don't need to go as splashy into like 5-color snow as I was maybe thinking at the start of this draft. Here I will take Bind the Monster. I don't have a lot of removal. And nothing else in this pack is that exciting for us. We would have to work really hard to splash Frisia and Valkyrie's Sword. We would have to do double white to splash that, so it's also kind of a difficult splash. Now, don't have any runes yet, but I do like Runed Crown. If you can just get 1 or 2 runes, this card's very solid. In pretty much any deck, obviously at its best in a red-white equipment deck, but this pack isn't the craziest. There's like Depart the Realm or Snakeskin Veil, one of these moderate, like mediocre instants. Snakeskin Veil can be really good if you hit this at the right time, like our opponent tries to remove Spirit of the Alderguard or something and we give it hexproof. We also do just want more 2-mana creatures, I think. Right now we just don't have a lot. I'm actually going to go with Pilfering Hawk here. We're going to be like green-blue at our core, probably just splashing in red for maybe even just waking the trolls, but possibly also splashing Crush the Weak and Provoke the Trolls. We'll see. But green-blue is definitely our core, so for 2-mana creatures, we're looking for green and blue creatures, and we are looking to have some so that we have blockers against the aggressive decks in this format. Kind of want to just take another Augury Raven here, although Frost Peak Yeti would be solid with enough snow sources. Right now I only have 2. I'm actually not that heavy into snow. I'm really just green-blue kind of ramp with Spirit of the Alderguard just to grab a land from our deck, and Replicating Ring just for ramp. Sculptor Winter will rarely be ramp, but sometimes it will. And there's really nothing for us here. I guess we can take Mists of Lit Jar just because we're really low on removal, but I am very rarely a fan of this card. It doesn't often do as much as you want it to in terms of removing things. Could take another Bind the Monster, but that might be a little risky. The second one's significantly worse than the first one because you do have to take some damage when you use this, and when you draw it later in the game, it's just pretty unplayable. It's just going to be taking too much damage as a late game removal, but it's very solid as early game removal. Yeah, I'll take another bind. The third bind is even more unexciting, but I don't like Sentinel, and Longboat is definitely not for our kind of deck. Wow, Pretty late Littjara Mirror Lake. We're happy to pick that up. Now one of our lands, when we get to the late game, just sacrifices to become an even bigger copy of whatever our best creature on the field is. Seems really solid. And it seems that somebody is in the very heavy snow deck here. Probably the 5-color kind of snow deck. So we are getting cut off of decent snow lands for our deck. Guess I'm taking the green card here. We're going to focus on red just being a splash, as I said before. Focusing really in on just green-blue. I'm going to hold down Alt here to see how many copies of everything I have for my collection. At the end. Ooh. Open a very solid blue card. We didn't end up that heavy into snow to really want another Spirit of the Alderguard here, I think. And this rare is just so solid. 4 mana for a 3/3 flash flying. That's already just a very solid rate in limited, and it has other upsides. Now our foretell spells cost 1 less to foretell, and we can foretell during our opponent's turn. And this card itself also has foretell. So it'll be quite good with like our Augury Ravens. But even just by itself, very, very solid card, and I'm happy to open that up here. We'd like to wheel, ideally, like a Bergstrider or the Highland Forest, but with how many snow cards getting taken out of the other packs, highly doubt we're wheeling either of those, and we're 100% not wheeling Spirit of the Alderguard. Well, Volatile Fjord is quite solid in this deck, and if I want more snow lands, now is the time I really got to pick them up. I'm definitely not taking a 4th Bind the Monster, but I could take another Pilfering Hawk, but these have been going late, even with other people in snow, so we might wheel that. Wheeling, of course, if anybody is new out there and doesn't know, it would be a little weird if you don't know by now, but maybe you stumbled upon the 11th Kaldheim Draft here. Wheeling just means if it makes it around, if all of these people don't pick it, then it will have wheeled all the way back to me. And that's why it's called wheeling, because it's like, we did the full wheel. Anyways, not going to take an off-color snow. Don't love Raven Form, although I do have a few flyers and some reach, so I would have the blockers to be able to just deal with the 1/1 flyer. It's not that huge of a threat against me, but I still don't think that card is generally that great. When the format started, that was another card that I was a lot more interested in, until I realized that it's like a more expensive, like Kasmina's Transmutation for more of the Spark. That was like 2 mana enchant a creature, turn it into a 1/1 with no abilities. This one costs 1 more mana than that, and makes it a 1/1 flyer instead of a 1/1 with no abilities. So once I realized that, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that card's actually pretty bad. Wow, Serap's Packmate, like the best green common. Struggle for Skemfar when I'm low on removal. I guess I've got a lot of Bind the Monsters, but that's still kind of worrisome. I do like Struggle for Skemfar because I've got like giants in this deck. But then there's also Inga Rune Eyes, which is really solid. Scry 3, and then it just makes combat really difficult for your opponent, because if you can get 3 creatures to die during combat, you just draw 3 cards, and your opponent is never going to let that happen. And then there's also Shimmerdrift Veil for the mana fixing in the Snowland. This is just a great, great pack all around. I'm going to take the Packmate there and not be too unhappy with it. Wow, Svella. I think I like Svella better than Icehide Troll here, because you do want a lot of snow to make Icehide Troll work. Right now we just have the 3 snow lands and 1 replicating ring, whereas Svella, although she is a snow card and she makes snow mana sources, she doesn't need any snow in your deck for her to work very well, because she doesn't care about snow at all. She just lets you cast whatever from your top 4. So this card is really solid. We don't even have to cast it on turn 3 for it to be good, so it's okay that it's in our splash color. Super happy to see Svella there. And we're just getting white snow lands. Come on. Come on, RNG. Let these packs have green, blue snow lands. I guess we could take a rune here. This pack's just not very exciting. I guess that would be an off-color rune. That's the splash color. Really? We could main deck a Broken Wings. Same reason that Masked Vandal's good. There's just almost always a good artifact or enchantment somewhere on the board. Don't really want to play the random pump spell. Probably not going to play Broken Wings, but we'll see. Rune of Flight is probably pretty good in this deck. The bigger your creatures are, the better giving them flying is. And we've got some big creatures. 2 4/4 Giant Wizards, another 4/4 Giant Wizard, 4/4 Troll Warriors, a 3/3 here. Yeah, I think Rune of Flight would be pretty solid in here. And the absolute floor of this card, the worst thing that you're doing is spending 2 to draw a card, which is solid. And now we have Grizzled Outrider, which is actually pretty decent in this format, just because the creatures in general are pretty small for their costs, and so a 5-mana 5/5 actually just ends up being often like the biggest thing on the board. That being said, there's another Replicating Ring, and we are splashing a lot of cards, and we have some stuff that cares about snow, so I'm happy to pick up another ring there. Wow, we did wheel Highland Forest and Bergstrider, so there's just like one other person in snow then, and they took Spirit of the Alderguard then. I do love me some Bergstriders. I only have 2. How many cards do I have that really care about the Snowlands? Actually, not a ton. I'm going to take a 3rd Bergstrider here. Because like the only thing I have that really cares about having a lot of Snowlands is like Sculptor of Winter. Spirit of the Alderguard cares as well, but we could just pretend that this is a 4-mana 0/4 that draws a land out of our deck and not be that unhappy about it. It doesn't really matter here. And yet again, I think these final picks are going to be a lot of stuff that we're not playing. So the Sculptor of Winters are going to be pretty bad in our deck. There's just going to be like 2-mana 2/2s, but even then we do need random little 2-mana 2/2s to block aggressive decks. I could get a Glacial Floodplain in here for a tapped snow source. Just a tapped snow island would be fine in this deck, I think. Not exciting, but at least we are getting another snowland there. Definitely nowhere near as awesome as it would have been if we just saw like the green-blue snowland. That would have been beautiful. Alright. I only have to make 5 cuts because I have drafted a lot of lands and some off-color stuff, as you can see up top. I kind of want to cut a Bind the Monster, but I don't want to cut 2, I think, because I am low on removal. I think I'll cut the main deck Broken Wings because of the fact that I have a Masked Vandal main deck that fills a similar role. The only thing that Masked Vandal can't kill, that Broken Wings can kill, is a flying creature, and I already just have flyers. 2 Augury Raven, Cosmos Charger. Hopefully if our opponent has a good flyer, we can just block it the traditional manner. So we'll cut the Broken Wings. Definitely going to keep waking the trolls in here. That is like the whole reason that we were trying to be kind of a slower, splashier sort of deck. I don't have a ton of creatures here, do I? 16? I could cut a couple because we're kind of a slower deck. Don't really want to, particularly. Kind of want to cut a Mists of Litjara. This card is okay at stopping aggressive decks, but this is another one of those removal spells that's just very bad in the late game because it doesn't shut off any I was going to say any vehicles, but it literally says right there that it does. I just got my wires crossed. This doesn't shut off any abilities, is what I meant to say. So if your opponent has something like a Sfella out, you're just like, oh, geez, because you can't do anything with Mists of Litjara against that, whereas Bind the Monster at least could tap down Sfella. But yeah, there's plenty of other good abilities that this doesn't stop, and it doesn't even stop creatures in the late game because their power is just going to end up being more than 3. And even so, it doesn't stop them from blocking your stuff. And we do have a lot of threats on the ground. We're not like totally a flyers deck. We only have 3. We only have 3 that we're really attacking with. We have Pilfering Hawk as well, but that's a 1/2. It's not going to be putting a lot of pressure on our opponent. So in like blue-white flyers, I guess this is solid because you don't care about the fact that their ground creatures get to keep blocking, but I don't think it's the greatest here. Although it would still be playable just to slow our opponent down so we can do our more late game plays. 2 more cuts to go. I'm definitely not cutting a land out of this deck when I have Waking the Trolls. And my curve is generally pretty high. 3.2. I guess it's not that bad, especially with 3 Foretell cards. The curve is solid. But yeah, with like Waking the Trolls, cards that are grabbing lands out of our deck, I think I want to just have a ton of lands in here. Don't want to go up to 18 though. I mean, I have 2 Replicating Rings. I kind of want to cut maybe the Draugr Thought Thief. Although maybe it's the Recluse here. This is low toughness. We don't need the reach that badly. Just because we've got the 3 flyers there and the Pilfering Hawk there. Yeah, we don't need reach that badly, and we're not really trying to get aggressive early with like a 4-2, trying to cheese out our opponent. It's not really a thing we're doing here. Crush the Weak does seem quite solid in here. We have a lot of stuff that has more than 2 toughness. Although we do have a few that have 2 toughness. The Sculptors, the Pilfering Hawk, and the Thought Thief. And the Horizon Seeker even. I still think this is going to be solid in here off the splash. Against aggressive decks. We're cutting 1 final card. Maybe I'm cutting 1 of these rings. I do like ramping into an early Berg Strider, though. That just seems so solid. Ramping into Waking the Trolls is not great, because we want to have as many lands as possible when we're casting it. But I guess it would be like destroying our opponent's land early. Like, it still destroys one of our opponent's lands and then brings one back to our field. So the number of lands we have is still going to be like equivalently larger than the number of lands that they have whenever we cast this. 1 more cut to go. How many snowlands did I end up with? Just 4? Looks like just 4 snowlands in here, so Sculptor of Winter is pretty unimpressive. It is not untapping lands very often. It's not actually ramping us often. But, again, it's one of 4 2-mana creatures. So don't particularly feel we can cut that. Yeah, maybe I'm cutting 1 of the rings. I just really love how much it helps the splash. Maybe we just cut 1 of the red cards, then just like Provoke the Trolls here. Sure, I'll cut Provoke the Trolls. I'm very uncertain about the cuts at the end here, but I usually am, so nothing too different there. So we have 12 blue symbols, 8 green symbols, and 3 red symbols. So 12, 8, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7 blue sources right now. 5, 6. It's only 6 green sources. We definitely need more green. I think we're cutting out. If I just cut all the regular mountains. So how does this look? We're splashing red for Svella, Crush the Weak, and Waking the Trolls. And we have 2 Replicating Rings for red, 1 Spirit of the Alderguard for red, and 1 Mountain and 1 Volatile Fjord for red. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 if you count Horizon Seeker. I feel like I'm missing 1 that I just listed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think it's just 6 red sources this way. That seems solid. All of our red cards we can play later. Like Svella we can treat as like a 5-mana bomb. And she's still good, because that card is pretty absurd. So how does the blue-green distribution look now? We have 5, 6, 7, 8 blue, and 8 green. I don't know if I want to go an even split on it. I mean, green is only 8 of our symbols, blue's 12. However, our green does hit pretty early with 3 green creatures at 2 mana, and only 1 blue card at 2 mana. 1 blue creature, that is. And then our green cards like Horizon Seeker and Spirit of the Alderguard do help us grab our other colors of mana, so we could like grab a blue mana with our green, and we can't do the same with blue. I think I actually do like the even split, 50-50 green-blue there, and then just very low on red sources, just 2 red lands, 2 rings, and the Land Searchers, Spirit, and Horizon Seeker. I think this looks like a good mana base. We're going to run with this. We are playing Temur Snow, sort of, splashing in Waking the Trolls, Sfella, and Crush the Weak. But even just our green-blue half of this deck seems pretty solid here. Some mediocre early creatures for sure, just some 2/2s that aren't often untapping lands. The 1/2 flyer, but then our late game creatures are very solid. We've got multiple Augury Ravens, we've got multiple Berg Striders, a Giant's Amulet. Seems like a pretty solid deck, trying to hit some beefy creatures and hopefully outbeef our opponents. So our mana's pretty much perfect here. We're going to keep this 7. I forgot to check if I had any cards that required 2 blue or 2 green when I was considering my mana base, to see if I ever needed more than one of a particular color source at one time. I could check right now. No, everything in my deck only requires 1 of each color that it requires. I will play my tapped land turn 1 since I'm not doing anything with the mana there. Just get the tapped land out of the way. Turn 2, we are definitely foretelling a Raven. Just make it look like we're blue-red giants. Since red is our splash, we might be able to confuse our opponent a little bit, maybe have them play around a blue-red giants deck. Although I guess our deck is very similar in what it'll be doing. It's just ramping into big old trolls instead of giants. And I mean, it is ramping into giants with Berg Strider. So do I want to just play an Augury Raven here? Or do I want to play the Replicating Ring so I know I can cast a Berg Strider next turn? Against black-white, they'll probably have a decent amount of random flyers, like the Valkyries that are a 3/2 flyer. And Great Hall of Starnheim is going to spit out a 4/4 flyer, which will just wall off my Augury Raven being only a 3/3. So I'm actually just going to play the Replicating Ring, because then next turn we get to play Berg Strider, tap down whatever creature they play here. They're probably going to play 2, though, possibly. A 2-drop and a 1-drop, so that they can activate a spell that cares about casting 2 cards in 1 turn. We'll see. No, just the Infernal Pet, which does care about casting 2 spells in 1 turn. However, it does cost 3, so they didn't get to cast another spell there, unless they had foretold the 0 mana spell. So now I'm going to cast the Berg Strider, tap that down. We are hoping to draw an untapped land if I want to immediately cast Waking the Trolls next turn, but I have solid plays even if I don't hit that. I could cast Spirit of the Alderguard, use it to grab my Snow Forest, so that I can play an untapped land next turn and still have access to 6 mana total, spending 4 on Spirit and 2 on Augury Raven. So even if we don't draw an untapped land for Waking the Trolls, we've got a solid turn next turn, and if we do, we've got a fantastic turn. Okay, so we're going to go for the solid turn instead then. Drop down a Spirit of the Alderguard, which we've got enough snow permanents that this Spirit is very beefy. I guess that's the other thing to think about with the Spirit. It doesn't care about specifically snow lands, it cares about snow permanents. So Spirit of the Alderguard is actually still a big threat in our deck, just because a lot of our creatures are snow permanents, like the Berg Striders, the Sculptor of Winters at 2 mana, the Pilfering Hawk at 2 mana. We've got a lot of snow creatures in here. Sfella's a snow creature, and then we've got the 2 snow artifacts, the Replicating Rings. So Spirit of the Alderguard actually a big threat in here, and we do see a Bound in Gold from our opponent to shut it off so it won't be attacking or blocking this game. They're sending in Infernal Pets, which means they definitely have an instant to eat our bird if we block here. I feel I have this game on lock for the long game, so I'm just gonna take less damage here and let them do whatever trick they're gonna do. Oh, just revitalize? So I'm still trading for an Infernal Pet. I was expecting like a pump spell. I'm happy to trade for one of these things and just keep my opponent off it here. And now we're just casting Waking the Trolls, destroying Great Hall of Starnheim so they don't have access to that ability. And currently, we've got 6 lands and they've only got 4. We're going to play another land next turn as well as bring a land from their grave to our field. So we may have a big difference in the number of lands we have and the number of lands they have for this card to really just demolish our opponent. We'll see. Especially if they can't play a land this turn. And this even holds them off of double black since I destroyed one of their black sources. If they have a Feed the Serpent, that's actually a big deal for them because that's 2 black and 2 generic to exile a creature, so they could have used that on Bergstrider if they had that, but now they're stuck on that mana. Oh yeah, Waking the Trolls is really going to go off here. Because we're playing a land this turn too, so I've got 8 lands, they have 4. I'm going to get 4 Trolls right now. I can even Thought Thief and look at their deck just to make sure they don't hit another land. Oops, don't target the deck, target the player. That's a land, get that in the grave. I don't want you to draw that. And I'll just cast an Augury Raven. I think the only way this doesn't pan out for us is if I just basically let them draw a card by milling their land. If they have a disenchant, anything to destroy my enchantment. But if they don't, this is just monumental. Whenever my replicating rings get to 8 counters and I get the 8 copies of the rings, I will have enough. Like black and white mana to create an angel by sacrificing my spirit, which will be really nice. So I could double block my Bergstrider here, but I have 4 other 4/4s now, so I mean we're offering the trades. Chump blocks it is. Doomscar from our opponent. Alright. Pretty much the only way our opponent was going to get out of that one. And now we are in a top deck war. Our opponent does have more cards in hand than us, and Shepherd of the Cosmos coming out here, plopping something back on the field. Crush the Weak. So that'll kill just the Story Seeker. I think I need to hold off on that and just take 5 here. We may just be losing to a Doomscar here. I'll have to look back on this game, but I don't even feel like the Doomscar was really obviously signposted or anything, because they foretold that a long time ago, and this whole game they were casting lots of creatures and we were just trading off creatures all the time. Village Rites to sacrifice one of the Story Seekers that's about to die anyway to draw a couple cards. It's looking like we're probably not getting out of this one. Yep, our opponent has Overlethal on board now. We've just drawn exclusively lands after the Doomscar. Pretty rough way to end it. But we really did the Waking the Trolls thing, which was cool. I think even if I did play around the Doomscar after Waking the Trolls, there was no way we were beating it with the lands that we were drawing afterwards. I don't even remember what creature I put on the board after the Waking the Trolls, but I don't think it was anything very good, and it would have been 1 creature against their hand of, as we saw, plenty. Although it would have made the draw of the Mirror Lake a lot better, and it would have blocked some stuff, whatever it was. Alright, heading into round 2 here. Yeah, I mean, this is keepable. It's a little awkward to have the splash color here and not the main blue, but we've got turn 2 Sculptor of Winter into turn 3 Packmate, which is just a really nice curve if they don't immediately shoot our Sculptor. Then we have a Masked Vandal coming up after this. I'm actually going to play my non-snow lands first, so they're less interested in just frostbiting my Sculptor of Winter. That way they might think, oh, they're stuck on snow mana anyway, so it's not going to untap anything anyway. Because if I just play a Snow Mountain here, then they just know I'm ramping into 4 mana next turn, whereas they can't know that if I don't have a snow land out. And they cannot respond to me playing a land, so I know that the Sculptor's safe by waiting on playing the snow land. And now we get to drop a Packmate. It's a 3/3 blocker for their 2/2s, and it's drawing us a card, and it drew our blue source. Now we're just really going. Next turn I get to play a Bergstrider to have a really big blocker for their ground troops. They do have an Augury Raven out though, so now I need to start worrying a little bit about the stuff in the skies. Cannot untap my blue source, I can only untap my red source, so I can't play Giant's Amulet this turn. Can't play anything to get rid of the Raven, but I could flash in a Cosmos Charger and trade. I don't love that, I think I just want to play Bergstrider. Then I get to attack with Packmate and have a very big blocker and attacker on this field on the ground. Could have also went for like the really safe, really defensive play and just tapped down the Augury Raven so I don't take any damage this turn. Icebind Pillar coming out from our opponent so they get to tap a creature every turn. Ice Manipulator, always a brutal card in Limited if you haven't played Dominaria Limited. Or I suppose 10th edition Limited, or Ice Manipulator was in a lot of sets before Dominaria, but I was not around for those times. So Masked Vandal could be awesome here, but we need one of our creatures to die first for it to be awesome. And that's actually a big problem, because we want to kill this Icebind Pillar as quickly as possible. Maybe I attack with everybody and just try to chump attack. But then I only get to play one blocker and they can tap it down with the pillar. And they take 9 if they don't block here. And if I play a Giant's Amulet, they wouldn't be able to tap it? Sure. I can't use Crush the Weak because that will exile all of the creatures. So I can't just Crush the Weak my own Sculptor. It'll get exiled, so I can't use it for the Vandal. So they're tapping Bergstrider down just on attacks here. Yeah, let's just go in. The only thing I don't like about trading Sculptor of Winter for Axeguard Cavalry is that, of course, Crush the Weak is just going to kill their cavalry later anyway. But I really, really want to kill Icebind Pillar, so we're just going to make an attack like that to get this Icebind Pillar off the board. Now we're going to foretell a card most likely, and I think we want to foretell the Flyer. Play a tapped Floodplain, because I'm not about to cast Giant's Amulet without getting a giant token out of it, so we're not doing anything for 1 mana there. Rune of Speed. The Axeguard Cavalry is speeding up. Now it's a 3/2. I don't like just chumping with Masked Vandal, but I also don't like going to 6. Got a Cosmos Charger coming up to block. I'll have 6 mana, so I can cast Crush the Weak and also Cosmos Charger. I think I'm just not going to block. we're gonna Crush the Weak just to kill their 1/3/2, because we're at that point now, I think. 8 damage here. They have a counter spell here? Do they have a burn spell to try to stack on top of this damage? I don't know if it's better to do this pre-combat or post-combat. Probably post-combat. Yeah, because now they can throw like a Frostbite at Bergstrider pre-combat and stop some damage. Demon Bolt was going to kill Bergstrider anyway, so didn't really matter. It basically changed nothing. We dealt 4 to him and we passed the turn. Doomscar Titan. That would be mega lethal here if it weren't for a Cosmos Charger. Instead, I'm going to 1 life, which is still very threatening. Not a life total I want to be at here. Well, I know that my Giant's Amulet will be able to block. So do I just send in with these? If they have like 1 more haste creature, I just die. I think I send in with just the 3/3, because that's a significant amount of damage. And now we've got a hexproof blocker. Hopefully they can't do anything about it. And it's big enough to block Titan and survive. Ooh, Bergstrider. Oh my god, Bergstrider for lethal off the top. Tap down their 1 blocker. God, you're such a good card. It's actually ridiculous. Actually ridiculous. Bergstrider. My giant wizard friend. That game was all on that last Bergstrider. I guess not really. We don't know what they had. They might have just not drawn into anything for several turns anyway. In which case we can just keep sending with the 4/5 and then moving the equipment over to our 3/3 to make that a hexproof blocker. So we had plays to try to close that game out even if we didn't draw into Bergstrider, but Bergstrider was just beautiful. Alright, so we are in the 3rd game now. We're at 1 win and 1 loss with this Teamer ramp sort of deck. Opponent starts with a Plains. I'll start with a tapped Volatile Fjord, because I'm not going to bind the monster when there's no creatures on the board. There's nothing to do with this card. We'll likely be foretelling Augury Raven next turn, unless we draw a 2-mana card. Turn 3, we could even get a Sfella out instead of a Ring. I don't know which would be better to play first. Probably Sfella, because Sfella can block things too. Ooh, I do like seeing the Crush the Weak here, especially when they just played a 2 toughness creature. So we're against white-blue. We might even be able to get a 2 or 3 for 1 with Crush the Weak later. We'll see. Glimpse the Cosmos for now. Lets them draw 1 card out of the top 3, and then they can do it again when they have a giant on the field for only 1 mana. Ascendant Spirit. So that's just a 1/1 right now, and they need 2 snow mana to make it a 2/3. So unless they somehow draw something that adds 2 snow mana in 1 turn, that's not going to do anything yet, so I think I can just cast Sfella. Or my Replicating Ring, really either. I think I'd rather get a big old blocker out here. I take 1 less damage that way. If they play a Snow Source here, which they just have, I'm definitely going to Crush the Weak next turn, because we need to Crush the Weak before the Spirit can turn into a 2/3. We don't need to, but I want to. And I'm very happy I hold it off for 1 turn on the Crush the Weak, because now we're destroying 3 things with it, which will be absolutely beautiful. They didn't attack with Pilfering Hawk, presumably because they'll be using it to draw a card and discard a card, but that makes my Crush the Weak even better now. Do I get to play anything else with it? No, there's no way to cast anything else here. If the ring only costs 2, or if Svella's ability only costs 2, I could have enough mana to do that, but we're just gonna just crush the weak. They've got 1 red source up. The only thing that could go wrong here is that they Frostbolt my Svella. And that's still fine. They did not Frostbolt Svella, so we will be wiping their board and hitting them for 2 here. And that makes it so the second part of their saga doesn't do anything. They don't get to draw a card off of it because they've got no flyers to hit me with. So we even shut off some of the value that they got out of their rare saga, which is fantastic. That was a very good Crush the Weak. Five mana for our opponent. That is Bergstrider range. Here it is. One of the best commons in blue. Definitely a card you're going to see a lot of. I'm still at 19 here, so I can afford, in terms of life, to bind the monster that, if I want to. If I don't bind the monster right now, it is going to hit me for 4 turns starting now, so I suppose I may as well. Basically are accepting that it hits us once, it just attacked us right there, but it's never going to attack us again, essentially. I could foretell Cosmos Charger, or I could cast one of these things, but I think it's better to just get the Raven on the board now. So they get to grab something from their sideboard, put it on top of their deck so they know they're drawing it next turn. Actually not that bad, because in like a green deck they could grab Broken Wings now to destroy my Augury Raven. I don't know what they could get in white, blue, red here, but there's probably something okay in their sideboard. I wouldn't be surprised if they just don't. And I think they didn't. It didn't look like their deck changed in any way, but maybe they did. I don't know what the visual representation of that ability would be if they did use it. Oh god, Avalanche Caller. That is a big deal. I don't have anything to get rid of that, but I guess they only have 2 lands. So they can only make 2 4/4s attacking me, but even just 2 4/4s is a bad time. I guess I can just set up to have enough mana for Svella's ability and start trying to dump out a ton of things. Just play Replicating Ring. I guess, I mean, they are just 4/4s, so we can trade off one of our creatures into one of them, and then I'm only getting attacked by 1 4/4 a turn. It does really suck having to trade into lands, though, so the Caller is going to be getting them some real value. If I play Ring, I don't have enough mana to play Cosmos Charger here. But I could play Sculptor. Yeah. I think this is fine. I could either make a Manalith with Svella, and then I'll have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. I don't really want to make a Manalith with Svella here, because the only way I can do that and also kill one of their 4/4s is if I block with Svella and then do it. And I really don't want to block with Svella, so I want to get a second creature out right now that isn't Svella, so I can double block a 4/4 with my Raven and my Sculptor and just lose a Raven to their 4/4. Because we gotta be prepared for these hexproof 4/4s. Oh, they're just not gonna make them. Okay, not yet at least. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. 2 away from Svella's ability. Sculptor Winter does untap a snow land, so we're actually just 1 away, which means that we're there next turn. 2, 3, and then I've got 4. I have enough mana to make a Manalith off of Svella and cast Cosmos Charger. So now I'll just attack with this Augury Raven. If they end up attacking me with 4/4s here, I'll double block with Cosmos Charger and Sculptor of Winter. Because Cosmos Charger this late in the game, we've got enough mana to where the abilities don't really matter. So it's basically identical to Augury Raven once it hits the board. So we're fine to double block with Raven and Sculptor. Of course, the Undersea Invader was unexpected there. That is not what we wanted to see whatsoever. That is a very big issue. I cannot double block that. I'd have to triple block that to kill it, and I would lose multiple things. Alright, turning a land into a 4/4. We are going to kill that thing. Can turn another one into a 4/4 if they want. Alright, they will do so. Oh yeah, this is very bad. I really want to be able to use Svella's ability. I think that's really important, so I'm going to make a Manalith here. Although I could double block this and this on a 4/4, and then this onto like the 1/2 flyer, but I take 9 when I do that. We're in so much hurt here. We're taking like 10. This is just absolutely painful. If I want to just stop more damage, I can just like chump block. I take 5. I don't think we're ever winning if I do. But now they have 2 snow lands. So they're going to have 2 4/4s attacking me again next turn with the Avalanche Collar. Yeah, this is easily the biggest weakness in our deck. Since we didn't take that struggle over that Packmate, we just don't have anything that can kill something like Avalanche Collar, because this ability doesn't require it to tap. Most of our removal just holds something down tapped. We're going to have a really bad time here. Spirit of the Alderguard, though. This is almost definitely going to be better than whatever I get off of Svella, because this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's going to be a 7/4, so we just trade with Undersea Invader there. Yeah, I mean, we just play Spirit of the Alderguard. Alright, 8/4 it is. 9/4 after we tap with Svella. I don't think I can attack here. So they have 2 4/4s. Oh my god, I'm actually just so dead. Throw a Rune of Flight onto my 8/4, I guess, to be super scary. Mainly just to draw a card. Another blocker is probably better than getting another Manalith right now. So we'll get another blocker. They can have 5 attackers, but they're not going to attack with Avalanche Collar. Unless it would be lethal. Oh, I wish I just had like my 4/5 wizard right now. My Giant's Amulet, that would be so good. I don't really think I can attack. Like, I could hit them for 3, they'd go down to 14, and then this turn I'd hit them for 12, 13? I guess 14 was Svella, so that could have been my hope there. With Bergstrider, I think I would definitely be dead if I had attacked in, but I'm kind of dead either way. Bergstrider's very good here. What are my best blocks for a 5/6 right now? Does 5 damage? They kill my Raven and my Hawk on blocks. Or Sculptor. I'd rather them kill Raven and Sculptor or Raven and Hawk. Or I guess they would kill Svella, so we just can't throw Svella into this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can triple block and they only kill 2 of these. But even just killing 2 of these, because Spirit's not going to untap next turn, I think is just lethal. But if I kill one of them and I don't get rid of one of their attackers, that's like just as bad for me. And I have to at least chump because I'm at 5 and it has 5 power. Alright, they're going to kill the flyers. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got well over enough to use Fella. If they animate 2 4/4s, I am incredibly dead. There's just no way I win. What do I have in my deck? Do I have anything I could hit off of Svella here? I could hit Waking the Trolls. That's just way too slow for the position I'm in right now. I guess I could hit Bergstrider if I Svella right before combat. And just tap down their Bergstrider. But I think that is still me dead, but that's my best hit. So we'll play to that. Because then I have 2 blockers against... Tap that down, block the 2 4/4s. Take 2. Yeah, I would survive, so we'll try to hit a Bergstrider here. So we'll stop right before they go to combat. Because we need to try to hit Bergstrider before they tap their creatures to attack with them. Because we need a Bergstrider to come into play and tap a creature down. Of course, we wouldn't be spending snow mana on it, so it wouldn't stay tapped, but it does tap the creature no matter what you spent on it, even if you spent nothing. So they're going to combat. We're going to use our ability. Hit a Bergstrider. No, so we just lose. Alright. Well, played to the out there, didn't quite get there. How much damage would I have had next turn? Not lethal, but... So if we had hit Bergstrider, we could tap down theirs, block Faceless Haven to kill that, and then block the other 4/4, and I take 2 damage. I go to 3 life. That's if they attack with everybody, which they might not because they're scared of losing Avalanche Caller. So yeah, I'd go to 3 life, and then I would have an 8/4 in the sky still, so at least there I would get to hit him for 8, put him to 9 life, and it looks a lot less embarrassing. But I don't think we could have won that game even off of hitting Bergstriders multiple times in a row. Alright, 1 win and 2 losses. Not a great start, but you can always rally and get back into it. Don't have to write it off just yet. I think looking back on this draft, the number one thing I would say during the drafting process would have been to take Struggle for Skemfar over the Packmate. It's not something you always want to do, but in our position we already had a bunch of big, beefy blue giants, so Struggle was going to be great in this deck, and we needed some removal for if our opponent plays anything bomby, because there are a lot of bomby things in this format, even at uncommon, like the Avalanche Caller that we saw there. So you very often will just need the removal to be able to do something about cards like that, or you will just die to cards like that. We're going to be playing Cosmos Charger here, so we can start slapping them in the sky. We are against some kind of Naya deck. Snow-covered mountains, snow-covered plains, and a forest. There's Toski, Bearer of Secrets. So whenever that damages us, they get to draw a card. Whenever any of their creatures damages us, they get to draw a card. And we cannot do anything about this because it is indestructible. I guess we have multiple cards that could tap it down. The Bind the Monsters is very good against that. I can only play 1 blocker this turn, unfortunately. So If I had two 2-mana creatures, I would prefer to play that over the Spirit of the Alderguard, but the fact that I'm only playing one card this turn means I'm just going to play the Spirit. I'm still going to attack with Cosmos Charger. I'll force them to have, like, the Demon Bolt or whatever. To get rid of my Spirit if they want to draw a card here. Looks like they do not have it, unless they have Run Amok. That would kill the Spirit, but they wouldn't draw a card this turn. They have to deal combat damage to my face to draw a card. And they've got Glittering Frost for splashing in some stuff, and a Priest of the Haunted Edge coming on in. Alright. Masked Vandal will be good in a bit, but for now, I think I just want to tap down the the priest, to get in with the rest of my creatures here. I suppose if I had grabbed our untapped Snowland, that would have been one more damage with Spirit of the Alderguard here, but I wasn't really under the impression that I would be able to be attacking with Spirit this turn. I guess I should have done the math. I mean, with Bergstrider in hand coming out next turn, we were definitely going to be able to send in if we wanted to. Is this a Demon Bolt now on the Bergstrider? Squash, basically same difference. I think we would rather have them squash our Bergstrider than our Spirit of the Alderguard. I guess the Spirit is one less power right now, but all I gotta do is plop out a Pilfering Hawk, and it is just as big. Next turn it'll be even bigger. And we're gonna Masked Vandal to destroy their Glittering Frost since one of our creatures is dead now. This is all stuff we should probably be doing in main phase too. That's one of the things I'm the worst about. I'm pretty impatient of a player. Play a lot of red. Which is ironic, because I'm a very slow player as well. But I just love casting my spells. There comes Toski. Block with the 1/3. The Priest only has 2 Snowlands to use right now, so it can only kill our Pilfering Hawk. Not big enough to kill Cosmos Charger or Spirit of the Alderguard anymore, and our opponent's down to 4 life. So they're dead in 2 attacks to Cosmos Charger. Struggle for Skemfar will kill the Cosmos Charger, giving Sfella a +1/+1 counter there. Making it a 3/5 as well. They're going to kill Masked Vandal. Not so sure about that play from our opponent. They must have something to kill the Pilfering Hawk, because they've got nothing to block flyers now. And it's a 4-turn clock. They do have to chump the Spirit of the Alderguard or die there, so that's pretty great. I will Draugr Thought Thief. I think I am going to Fate Seal my opponent, because I just need them to not draw out. Like, Pilfering Hawk would block our flyer, so we don't want them to draw that. We'll throw that in the grave. Drop down a Replicating Ring, make our Spirit even bigger, start getting counters on this, so maybe we spit out 1,000,000 ring tokens. Won't really matter. And there's the concession from our opponents. They only had 1 creature on the board. It has to attack each turn of Able, so it's not a blocker. They would need to draw 2 blockers there to survive, with a 6-power attacker, a 3-power attacker, and a 1-power attacker. So that is the concession. We get a Ruin Crab as our random reward. So we're 2-2 now. Nice and even. We've 50-50'd it up. Even win rate for this deck. This is not a strategy that I've played a lot in this set, or a strategy that I like a lot in this set. I'm not a huge fan of splashing in any set, but I know that a lot of the more powerful decks in this format, especially snow decks, involve a lot of multicolored stuff and a lot of splashing, so it's really just not been the format for me because of that. I do really like formats with like really honed in, very specific, like really focused decks based around certain strategies and stuff, and this format there's a lot of not that, because like even when you're in the color scheme for a certain strategy, it doesn't always end up being that strategy, and a lot of your cards are just good cards that aren't necessarily for the strategy. You know, as we saw a couple drafts ago when I was like blue-red, where I was like blue-red snow a little bit, I was blue-red giants a little bit, I was blue flyers a little bit, just a little bit of everything, you know. I'm gonna keep this. It's definitely a slow hand, but it's got some powerful cards for the late game. Sfella, if we get to that ability. Bergstrider's always solid. And the Mirror Lake, copying our biggest creature. So this hand just has a very good late game. So as long as our opponent isn't very aggressive, I think this hand is quite solid. And with no plays turn 1 or turn 2, we're off to a decent start. The aggressive decks in this format are really built around curving out with creatures as quickly as possible, like 1-drops and 2-drops and stuff, and the reason is because there are a lot of slower decks in the format, like the one that I'm playing, that on turn 2 are just always going to be foretelling a card, and they're not going to play a 1-mana card, so you just know that your tiny little creatures are going to get in the vast majority of games on like the first 2 turns, maybe even 3. So I want to just ramp into my big boys. I think I do. I've got 2 Bergstriders in a row coming up, and our opponent's stuck on 2 mana right now with a Colossal Plow that's going to require a lot to crew. I guess if they have the Ox, the 2 mana 0/6 Ox that crews with its toughness, they could immediately crew that thing, but otherwise, they're pretty far off from that. They did draw into a creature, which is very nice for my Bergstrider. Now my Bergstrider actually gets to tap something down. I was going to cast it either way, but tapping down a plow would be much less exciting. Oh, well, now they get to crew the plow, gain 3 life, get a few mana, I guess. So they get to play another 4-drop here. Sure. Ox plow combo, let's go. You got me. A 3/6 God's Hall Guardian. See, without a plow, my opponent's field is not very impressive anymore, so I'm pretty happy about the trade. I could play Sfella if I just play a ring and then a land here. 2/4 blocks pretty well unless they play a snow land to buff the troll. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I would have enough mana to use Sfella next turn if I do this. Because I have 7 mana on the board right now, I'll play my 8th with this island next turn, so if Sfella doesn't get killed here, we can just start spinning the wheel every turn. That could be fun, just going for that 8 mana ability. They did play another snow land, unfortunately, so we'll just be taking 2 a turn. Unless they don't have anything else to cast, then we'll take 4 a turn. But we're happy to take 4 if it means that they don't have the mana to cast another card. Alright, and now we're just going off with Sfella, I think. Although, Mirror Lake's looking pretty good here too. Obviously it can't copy a legendary creature, that would be a very bad idea. But what, that costs 5 to do, so I've got 2 up. So I could play Augury Raven and copy it with Mirror Lake. That does also seem quite good, because the copy gets 2 counters, or just 1? Just 1 counter. It's not insane. Maybe I just play Bergstrider here. I guess we can hold off on Sfella. Let's stop that troll from attacking me for a second, and drop down our Raven. And we'll use Sfella next turn. Could even Mirror Lake on the Bergstrider now. Is this a sorcery speed land? Some of these are sorcery, some of them are instant. Wow, I held off on 1 turn and they drew the removal for Sfella. Feels pretty awful. I guess I just copy Sfella now then. Yeah, sure. I want to keep the non-removed one. Not Vold Recluse from our opponents. And it is time to do Sfella things. I drew the Masked Vandal too that could have killed the bonds on Sfella. Let's just go for it. Rune of Flight, or Horizon Seeker. They've got a reach creature now, so Rune of Flight is not that impressive. It does draw us a card. I think I just want more creatures. I guess Rune of Flight is pretty solid because their ground creatures are so good at blocking. Packmate from our opponent. Ooh, Crush the Weak to kill their one creature that can block flyers. Now Rune of Flight would have looked super gas. They've got 1 mana up here. Yeah, this Crush is going to work out. We just start chipping away at them with flyers. Got 5 mana after this, so I could play a Spirit of the Alderguard as well. Horizon Seeker is going to die here. That is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Spirit of the Alderguard going to be absolutely massive. Take our land with the most relevant colors. Ravenous Lindworm, not really a problem at this point. Especially because the rings are about to make this spirit just completely ridiculous. Oh, bind the monster. Could tap down their 0/6 without taking any damage. But I can also tap the Lindworm, and then they have to double block to kill Spirit. They could also block with Troll. Actually, I kind of want to get Troll with that. Because Troll's just going to be an indestructible blocker, especially because it can get 4 power as well. That's just brutal against these 4 toughness attackers. Well, another Troll it is. I'm going to take this trade here. They have enough creatures to block with, especially with another Troll. This blocks as a 4/3 indestructible. The Spirit's not going to be able to get in, even if the rings make it like a 10/4 next turn, or I guess I would make it a 14/4. Something absolutely absurd, but it just gets blocked and killed without even dealing any damage. Unless I draw the Rune of Flight again. I guess I would eventually with Svella. But hitting them for 3 every turn with the Augury Raven. Alright, well, they shut off one of the rings anyway. Hitting them for 3 every turn with Augury Raven, we will get to a point where just putting a rune on the Bergstrider will be enough to kill them. Whew. Get that Waking the Trolls after they've played the Masked Vandal, so this might actually stay around. I am down to 14 here. I do want more blockers, but a 1/3 doesn't really block anything well except their 1/3. So I'm just going to hold on to my Masked Vandal in case they have more enchantment-based removal. Just send in the Eyeside Troll. I am taking 4 here if they pump it, or 2 if they don't. So I'm not going to lose my Bergstrider. Should probably start waiting on Svella and just doing it during their turn. I will play this land though, so I get like a million trolls. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 lands. They have 6, so I'll get 5 trolls. Maskwood Nexus is not bad for our opponent. They can get a 2/2 changeling every turn for 3. Heading to my turn, let's use our ability. We did loop through our whole deck back to the Rune of Flight. I forgot how quickly Svella does that. I'll just play the natural flyer, I think. Because it gets another creature onto my board. I do want some blockers and stuff too. Oh yeah, I have Masked Vandal for their Maskwood Nexus. Yeah, this is just going to be not fair. Yeah, there's the concession. After getting 5 4/4s out of Waking the Trolls, I then proceed to blow up their bomb artifact. Not a good time for our opponent. I will be perfectly honest there. So that is 3 wins and 2 losses for our deck. So whatever happens now, we made it to 50-50. I wasn't so sure about this one because I'm generally pretty unsure about the snowy, splashy strategies. But Waking the Trolls has been a heck of a card every time I've cast it. Even the one game that I lost to the Doomscar, it did look very impressive until my opponent wiped the board. So even there, it was looking awesome. It was looking awesome for a moment, if only. So we are heading into round 6, 3 wins and 2 losses, 5 rounds in. We're going first here, and we do have a 2-drop creature, and then the Augury Raven to foretell later. I'll go ahead and keep this. I'm on the play too, so my opponent might not even have a creature on board by my turn 2, in which case I can just foretell Raven instead. Although Pilfering Hawk does look to be pretty good in this hand with the amount of lands I already have, I may be wanting to filter away some others. I think I'd rather just set up to play a 3/3 flyer next turn, though. Turn 4 Spirit of the Elder Guard is going to be pretty powerful this game. It'll be a 3/4 off of just my lands. Now it'll be a 4/4 off of just my lands because it grabs a 4th snow land here. And then once I play Pilfering Hawk, it'll be a 5/4. So Spirit of the Elder Guard actually, yeah, has been consistently looking to be a much larger creature than I expected in this deck. Our opponent is on green-white with the card Foretold. Could be a Packmate coming out this turn. 3/3 and draw a card. Yep, Serap's Packmate it is. Think we just hit them for 3 and then drop down our Spirit. Then I've got a 3/4 blocker for their 3/3, so it doesn't get in without reinforcements of some kind. And we'll play our 4th Snowland next turn, making Spirit a 4/4, and then cast our Pilfering Hawk, making it a 5/5. And then we're going to start pilfering all day long. We've got 3 extra lands here to discard to draw better cards with Pilfering Hawk's ability. Got quite a solid start to this game. A 3/3 flyer on board and a large grounded threat as well, and the Pilfering Hawk to set up our draws throughout the late game. That being said, our opponent has 7 cards we don't know about, so they could have equally good stuff. Struggle for Skemfar is a fantastic start to that, making their Packmate a 4/4, so it will trade with the Spirit however big Spirit gets. So, do I want to stay aggressive here? They're down to 17 already. We could take the trade here because Spirit's going to trade with the Packmate no matter what at any point in this game, because Spirit's never going to have more than 4 toughness. I think I'd rather hold off because I get to hit them for 5 here, put them down to 12. So we're okay to go down to 16 and just keep the pressure on our opponent. Oh my god, a Mirror Lake here? I kind of want to Mirror Lake our Spirit of the Elder Guard now, so we're just going to hit them for 4, play our Mirror Lake, and get ready to copy Spirit of the Elder Guard next turn. Costs 5 mana to do that, 2 of which needs to be green, 1 of which needs to be blue. We've got the 2 green, we've got the 1 blue. We just need to play 1 more land next turn, so we'll play Snow-Covered Mountain, use Mirror Lake, copy Spirit of the Elder Guard, and start really going to town. Rune of Might give the Packmate +1/+1 trample. I'm not going to block here. I think we can still race, especially with a second larger Spirit of the Elder Guard coming up. Our opponent might just hold off here, though, and save it as a blocker, but if they do, our first Spirit of the Elder Guard will be big enough to trade into that thanks to the Snow Mountain. It'll be a 5/4 attacking into a 5/5. So they need some sort of pump spell. Well, that makes it 6. Just big enough to block, or they can still send in if they want to try to be aggressive as well. Did make it big enough to block. Actually, it doesn't make it big enough to block because the copy of the Spirit is another snow permanent. So it'll still trade, actually. I didn't do that math, so yeah. I didn't notice that either. Because that has trample, we're just going to attack in with our Pilfering Hawk. We're not going to block to stop 2 damage. So we'll send in for 1 more to our opponent here. Mirror Lake looking really spicy this game. Getting the 2nd Spirit of the Alder Guard. Of course, it didn't get full value. We already had all of our Snowlands out of our deck, but still a big old 7-5 right now. And our opponent is going deep into the think tank on whether or not they want to trade here. They do take the trade. Now, Fall of the Imposter on the 3rd part of the saga will kill our spirit, but it does get an attack in here, and it makes the 1st spirit big enough to send in and trade with Packmate and not just die. So I think it is still worth just cracking the Mirror Lake there. That is probably what took them so long there, is they're like, well, I'm gonna kill one off of the Fall of the Imposter soon enough. But they would be taking a lot of damage if they held off there. And an Elderleaf Mentor from our opponent. That is not enough power to block and kill this spirit, so it's probably going to be killing their 1/1 token here before it gets killed by Fall of the Imposter. Okay, we are just all in on Pilfering Hawk. Get us out of this mess. We're going to do it right now in case I draw Masked Vandal. Yeah, that's such a great draw. But yeah, I was going to do it right there in case I drew Masked Vandal or like Bergstrider or something, but oh my god, the Masked Vandal here is so clutch. Kill their removal spell before it goes off. Now I get to send in with Spirit. Hit him for 6. Alright, they do the chump block. I suppose I should have played Sculptor of Winter first there, just in case our opponent did not block there, but with a 1/1 token, I'm pretty sure the chump was inevitable. But you never know. We could have pushed through for 1 more damage if our opponent was choosing not to block that turn. See, this is what I mean about this Masked Vandal, this card. That's what's so crazy about this format. It's been really difficult to learn because the cards are not like just however strong they look at face value. A lot of the cards, it depends on like a greater understanding of the format over time to know how good they are. Like Masked Vandal, like you put this in any limited format, in a lot of limited formats, you're just like, okay, whatever. But like this one, all of the sagas, there's like big rare artifacts and enchantments that just absolutely take over the game. There's just so many good things for the Vandal to kill that this card's just one of the best green commons. It's just a random artifact or enchantment destruction spell, basically. But what makes it so good is that it is a split card, so even if you're not... wow, Bergstrider's a ridiculous draw here. Draw another card, see what I get. But yeah, even if you're not playing against an artifact or enchantment you need to kill, it is still a 1/3, which is just a relevant blocker in the early game for only 2 mana. I'll trade with Sculptor of Winter here to get 8 to their face. We actually throw the Masked Vandal in here too, also to push in an extra damage, because there's no way they choose to block Masked Vandal out of all these options. Alright, hit him for 3, get that blocker out of the way. I'm going to hold on to this land to discard it to Pilfering Hawk. Serap's Packmate is a solid draw here, although we did not get to play it the turn we drew it, since we're just playing Bergstrider there. Elven Bow, 2/3 reach, and they get to move that equipment around to give something else +1/+2 reach. I do like this card, but it is not a great draw at this point in the game. Just a little... they basically drew a 3-mana 2/3. Of course, the Spirit of the Alderguard token is just so massive at this point. Bind the monster. Well, we'll see if our opponent has response, but if not, this is well over lethal. If they kill this, I do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually, 1 damage off if they have an instant speed removal spell for this. So since I'm 1 damage off anyway, I'm going to hold back the Pilfering Hawk so I can loot. If I would be doing 9 damage total off of these 4, I would attack with everybody, because that would make it lethal even through an instant speed removal spell. But the fact that it doesn't mean I won't. They do have to chump block the Spirit here, so this is actually pretty solid. They could exile their Glade Warden if they want, and then when they block and Glorious Protector dies, Glade Warden comes back untapped, but it doesn't really matter because it's untapped after the blocker step has already happened, and it's going to untap next turn anyway. So again, if I attacked with Pilfering Hawk, I'd get in for 1 more damage here, which is not lethal. 2 is so close to dead anyway. We're just going to hold off there so I can loot this island away. Ooh, Giant's Amulet. But I guess I can hold off just in case and loot at the end of their turn. Hold this as a blocker. I'm not going to draw a 0 mana spell to cast here. Rediguard Protector does give them tokens every time they landfall, which can give them more blockers, but it is not going to give them enough. 3, 4, 5, 6 attackers. They could have 3 blockers. They are super, super dead. King Herald's Revenge. Make it a 7/7 and I have to block it. Alright, I'll just loot so I don't. And that's game. Well, I guess the Packmate has to block it. Totally forgot about my Packmate here. Either way, we're super lethal. That was really weird. I just totally forgot about the existence of Serulf's Packmate. Alright. Not gonna beat around the bush here. We're just gonna send in. They have no cards in hand. Nothing in grave with any kind of ability. Just send in and wrap that game up. So we have made it to 4 and 3 here, which means we've made it into pretty decent value. 1,400 gems for the 1,500 gem entry fee. So not bad at all. We're basically just getting 6 packs for 100 gems. So we're super solid here. I'm very happy with this results, whatever happens from now on. I was already feeling pretty solid on the 3-3, but we're 4-3 or better now, heading into round 7. Well, this hand is quite awkward because I do really need to hit 2 more lands. If I hit 1 more land, I do get to cast a Replicating Ring, which then in turn makes it so I have 4 mana total, 1 to the 3rd land to cast it, and the 4th from the ring. But then if I don't hit another land, I'm spending my turn after that casting another Replicating Ring, so it's just a really slow start if I don't immediately hit like another land. But our opponent is going first. We have 3 turns to draw our first land, so we have 3 different draw steps to draw it. Our deck has like 33 cards in it right now, 15 of which are lands, so it's almost a 50% chance at a land for all 3 draw steps. We should definitely hit the first land, I just don't know about the second. I'm gonna keep it. I mean, we've got such a bomb late game. I'm basically just gambling on my opponent being a slow deck here. If our opponent goes just plains and then the 1/2 first strike hawk, I am gonna lose this game. Or if my opponent goes mountain into ferocious pup, I'm gonna lose. But if we're playing against like another slower kind of snow deck, we've got a really good late game. Our opponent did mulligan and play a tapped blue-red snow land, so it looks like we have a chance here. We are not against a hyper aggro deck, most likely. Elder Fang Disciple. I'm actually gonna discard a Replicating Ring here, because if I draw, like I just did, a 4th land, I only need the 1 ring. Our opponent did start with just a 1/1 here, so that doesn't put a lot of pressure on us, so we're feeling pretty fine. Gold Vein Pick will double up the power there and start getting treasure tokens so they can ramp up into stuff really quickly. Get our ring out here. So next turn we've got Bergstrider. Turn after that we've got another Bergstrider. We get to Waking the Trolls, their blue-red snowland. Our opponent's got whatever color they need. They've got 6 mana available after combat here. But if they do something pre-combat, we'll see. Another Gold Vein Pick. All right, it's the Deathsea deck. If you haven't seen it or heard of it, if you search Deathsea on Twitter, Deathsie, Deathsea is just one of the best limited streamers. Just very good at the format, and like top 10 Mythic very frequently this season in limited. Deathsea has just been going on and on about the Gold Vein picks, and even did a stream where he forced just Gold Vein pick decks like over and over. I think I play Bergstrider, tap down Agar, because if I tap down Elderfang Disciple, they can move both the picks to Agar, and then Agar's a 5/5. I could also play a Masked Vandal, but I don't have a creature engraved to kill one of their picks with it yet, so that just seems bad. Could play a Giant's Amulet, but then again, they could move both the picks to the Agar to make it a 5/5, so we just need to tap down Agar. Alright, if they want to trade up a removal spell into our Bergstrider, we're fine with that. Run Amok would be sad, but I think I still have to just block here because I can't really afford to just keep taking 3 every turn. Make them have it at least. They've got 1 final card in hand. Another Elderfang Disciple. Well, Masked Vandal is destroying one of their picks now. So, that being said, oh, this is really rough. I can't cast Masked Vandal and something else in the same turn. I'm almost 100% certain I'm just playing another Bergstrider next turn. We need them to just draw like a land, just something that doesn't do anything here, so that I can Bergstrider Agar again and they can't really attack in. I don't think I can discard Waking the Trolls. If I can Masked Vandal one of their picks, then a 4/5 blocker is big enough to block anything they have. Oh my god. I hate this, but I'm discarding Giant's Amulet. Because if I just play Giant's Amulet and they suit up Agar as a 5/5, I'm just a big old world of hurt. I'm gonna have to take a turn off eventually to Waking the Trolls. But I really don't want to do it right now. They draw into another Run Amok? Okay, no. Just pass through that. Masked Vandal to blow up a pick so that Agar untaps with only 1 pick. They equip Agar and we trade. And then with only 1 pick, the Elderfangs can only be 2/2s, which means Masked Vandal can just block them from that point on. Yep, Masked Vandal's, I think, better than dropping down Waking the Trolls right now. We are just trying to stabilize here so that Waking the Trolls can take over the game 3 turns from now. Craven Hulk. Alright, well that'll be a 5/5 with a pick on it, so I'll have to double block with both of these. Which I guess if they... Oh, they just moved the pick onto the Hulk right now. I was going to say, if they just move the pick onto the Agar right now, I'll have to trade with Bergstrider, and then we can't double block Hulk. Keep playing our lands for Waking the Trolls. If Waking the Trolls goes off, we just win here. So 2 turns from now. We just got to survive 2 turns, really. But I have 4 more lands than my opponent. I'll have 5 more once they pick up their Volatile Fjord. We do the double block. They get to kill Bergstrider. If they have a Run Amok, then I'm screwed wherever and whenever they attack. Alright. Traded for the Bergstrider. They do get to draw a card off of Agar as well, which is not great for me. They did hit a land, so I'm getting less trolls, but I'm still going to get like 3 at the absolute least. It's going to be 8 lands against 4 right now. Draugr Thought Thief. What would I be fate sealing my opponent out of right now? I don't even know. I think I'm going to scry. Yeah, they're black-red. They're not going to have some random enchantment removal spell, I think. So I'll just scry here. Pilfering Hawk, I don't really want. Like, I guess I could mill a land if they have one on top, but then I'm just putting them closer to other playables. Alright, I'm getting 3 4/4s. I have 8 lands and they have 5, so I have 3 more than them. Maybe I should have just kept Pilfering Hawk, because then every time I draw a random land from this point on, I can loot it away. Oh dear. Cinderheart Giant? I can take 7. That's mighty risky of me, but I could do it. If I do that, their biggest other creature is 4/4. Alright, well. Ow. But now I get to start attacking with a 4/4 trample every turn. Could even send it with 2 of them, really. I could send it with all 3. But that would be risky down at 6 life. I think I should just be sending with 2 a turn if our opponent casts nothing right now. Basalt Ravager? They have like 4 wizards right now. Are the Disciples wizards? Oh, thank God, they're clerics. So they just have 3. But with Agar on the field, they still get to draw a card off of that. And they foretell it, whatever it is. Probably Poison the Cup, would be my guess. I will foretell Cosmos Charger. Oh, now they have a 4/2. So I just trade into that. This hurts so bad, but with Cosmos Charger, I'll have another blocker to trade in. I think Agar is definitely the MVP for them this game. It's just drawn them enough cards to even the value out after a massive card like Waking the Trolls, which is brutal for me because we were really relying on that, but our opponent's drawn like 3 cards off of Agar or something, which is the equivalent of 3 Trolls at this point, especially like with Basalt Ravager on 2, also being like a 2-for-1, coming to play as a 4/2 that'll trade off with something and killing something when it came into play. Send in the 4/2 and the 4/4 Agar and the 1/1. I think if they had Poison the Cup, they would probably have just used it on my 4/4 right now. But I guess they can wait till blocks. Play Cosmos Charger, trade there, block there. What on earth is this Foretold card? Maybe about to find out. No, nothing happens. Alright. They do draw another card off of Agar. Because the Basalt Ravager did 4 to my 3 toughness creature. Jarl of the Forsaken to finish off Masked Vandal. Okay. Fearless Liberator from our opponent. Jarl is going to be 4 power to attack in against our 4/4s. Oh, Spirit of the Altar card's going to be so big. I kind of want to wait and see if they'll trade into this 4/4. Because next turn, then I'll block that with a 4/4 and anything else with a Spirit. Send in with 1 4/4. Really hoping, like, magical Christmas land here is that our opponent trades Jarl for my 4/4. Alright, didn't happen. Because that would mean that Spirit of the Alderguard has almost free reign as a 14/4 right now. Good lord. If I draw my Rune of Flight, I just massively overkill my opponent. That would be an absolutely fantastic draw. I want to make sure it hasn't been milled or anything random over this game. I don't think so. No. So we still have a Rune of Flight in our deck. Our opponent could have drawn into removal here, and they're just holding on to it just in case, because they don't really have... Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh no. Did we just do it to them? Oh, crush the weak too? To basically clear their board? Oh, let's see. Oh no, now I feel kind of bad. I shouldn't have called it. I shouldn't have done any called shots there. That was ruthless. 14/4 flying Spirit of the Alderguard. Get in there. Alright, 5 wins here. We're fully in the value, getting 1,500 gems or something. 1,600 gems out of this now. And 4 packs after paying 1,400 in. We are having a great time with the format recently. Some great recent drafts, so whatever happens now, we're getting full value. The draft has paid for itself. We are now heading into round 8, 5 wins and 2 losses. Uh-oh, Mythic number 20's here. Mythic number 20's here to slap me down. Stop my rise into Diamond. I'm pretty close to Diamond now. We're Platinum Tier 1. So that would be cool. We can't hit it in this draft, so we can't hit it today, unfortunately, but we can get close. This is a pretty solid hand. Some flying foretellers. Now we've got our late game play of the Waking the Trolls. Whenever I see this in the corner of my eye, I want to think it's like walking the trolls, like walking the dogs. It's like, I gotta keep them occupied, you know, the trolls. They got stuff to do. I think I just foretell the flash one here. Because I could cast either next turn off of 3 mana, and I can't cast 2 things next turn either way. Our opponent is on probably black-white double spells, or just black-white in general. Well, Clarion Spirit. Does mean they're stuck on 2 mana here, though, so they might not be double spelling anytime soon. I think I'm just playing a land and getting ready to Cosmos Charger. Although I could just play Replicating Ring to get closer to Waking the Trolls because they're stuck on 2. You know, I'm feeling mean today. I'm going to try that. This might not be the best play, but we know they're stuck on 2. I think blowing up their white-black dual land could very well just win us the game. Even if they play a swamp here, that's their 1 white source. Are they casting 2 spells? That is the question. If they're casting 2 spells, we are going to get punished pretty hard for not actually putting anything on the board this turn. But if they're just casting like a 2/2 Infernal Pet or something, it could be fine. Because the cool thing about this is we get to cast a Replicating Ring this turn and still cast our Cosmos Charger. Because we'll have 3 mana up afterwards. And then next turn we Wake the Trolls. Bloodsky Berserker, sure. Usher of the Fallen, so the double spell thing has happened pretty good. Alright, we get to block and kill Clarion Spirit, Cosmos Charger putting in work here. And then Waking the Trolls should be pretty brutal, although we aren't putting anything else on the board by doing that. I still want to do it. I mean, I'm at 18. I think I can afford to blow up their only white source. I can foretell for only 1 mana now. I can foretell in my opponent's turn now, right? Yeah, I can foretell in my opponent's turn anyway, so we'll just wait. Good old 6-mana Stone Rain might just win us the game here, we'll see. Oh, well, there's the white source anyway, but once we hit the third part of the saga, we are still going to go off and do some crazy stuff. I still prefer destroying their one white source over their Great Hall of Starnheim, just because we don't know they're going to immediately hit a white source after that. We know they've been stuck on mana, they didn't play a land turn 3, so they had to have literally just drawn that Plains. All of their damage goes on to Usher of the Fallen here. I just want to survive, really, so we'll kill Usher of the Fallen and stop the damage. But I will foretell this Augury Raven here. Because we're still killing one of their creatures here. Ooh, and a Bind the Monster. Bind the Monster, Bergstrider, tap down all their stuff. Seems pretty solid. Of course, now they have a great target for the Great Hall of Starnheim, but... just really slow down our opponent, get ready to wake a bunch of trolls next turn. And they scoop them up because they know the trolls are coming the turn after this, alongside a 4/4 Bergstrider. We shut down all of their aggression that they had at that point. So that will bring us to 6 wins and 2 losses. We're heading into the final round. This is the final boss, win or loss. This will be our 3rd loss or our 7th win. Either way, I'm super happy. As always, 4-3 and better is what I'm happy with. And even 3-3, I think, solids, whatever. I don't beat myself up over it. So yeah, here we go. We've got the Waking the Trolls. Our pick one, pack one. It's what the deck does. See if we can do it this game as well. Got to turn 2-1-3 if our opponent's aggressive, but otherwise I might want to hold off on this, see if we can blow something up with it, because as we've seen, every time we blow something up with Masked Vandal, it's something pretty good. Our opponent's got those Damnation Sleeves. I actually did order the... well, because I have 2 Replicating Rings, I'm not going to be holding up 2 anytime soon, so I'm actually just going to play a 1/3 blocker. I actually did order the Seb McKinnon Secret Lair, which is where this artwork comes from, I think? I'm actually not sure, because I haven't gotten it yet. It was a pre-order. But I haven't used like the code to get the sleeves for Arena, and I hope it still works because I ordered that like half a year ago or something. Seraph's Packmate, a 3/3, and they draw a card. Probably bind that just to slow them down so we can really try to... well, if I draw Bergstrider, I can just play Bergstrider here. But I like playing Waking the Trolls as quickly as possible. So playing another Replicating Ring means that I get to Wake the Trolls next turn. So I'll just take 3 from the Packmate. And depending on what land they play here, I'll see if I want to kill their black-green land or their Mirror Lake. They could just be like blue-green Snow, playing Woodland Chasm as a tapped Snow Forest. Yeah, I think we're gonna... ooh, Crush the Weak is actually not good in this matchup. I'm gonna destroy the Mirror Lake so we know that they're not getting value out of that, because they'll make like a 4/4 and draw a card with Packmates on the board. Now, our Waking the Trolls might not actually do a lot here, because we aren't drawing lands after turn 4. But we are getting one of their lands, but as long as we get like a single 4/4 out of it, we'll be fine, so we just need to draw one more land here. Not gonna block the 3/3 with my 1/3. Come on, land. When you actually want to draw land, Spirit of the Elder God does give us a land, so that's solid. So now we know even if they play a 5th land, we'll be getting at least 1. Unless they Disdainful Stroke Spirit. Well, that does work. I'm going to be really sad if our opponent gets to just play a land after that. That would be absolutely brutal. Just a pretty fantastic run of cards to play against the Waking the Trolls. Alright, well, a fitting end to this draft. If we're going to ever see Waking the Trolls not work, it may as well be in the final game. We're now getting 0 4/4s, so feeling pretty out of this one. However, we've got a Sfella, we've got a Mirror Lake to copy something. We've still got plays, don't have to give up just yet. I'm actually going to play Sfella first, I think. I've got 7 mana. I do need to hit one more land to use Sfella's ability. Maybe I should play Bergstrider first then. Because as we've seen, we've had the Waking the Trolls for several turns, didn't draw land in any of the turns we had that. So, relying on the land draws might be a little bold. Just play the Bergstrider so we know that we're slowing our opponent down. And if they have removal here, I think we'd rather them kill a Bergstrider than kill a Sfella. If they don't kill Bergstrider and we don't draw land, we might just make another Bergstrider with our Mirror Lake, a 5/5 version. Of course, that'll keep us even farther off from using Sfella's ability, but we can cast Sfella later and just start making Manaliths with her. Try to get there that way. Blade Walker makes a pack made of 4/4. The fact that I know that I have enough... the fact that I know that I have enough mana for Sfella's ability makes me not want a Mirror Lake here, because then I won't. Although I could Mirror Lake and tap down Glade Walker, that would play around this being a Jarl of the Forsaken, 3/2 that destroys a creature that's been dealt damage when it comes into play. Yeah, I am still 1 mana off from using Sfella's ability. Let's just make another Bergstrider. Tap down the blocker. Send in for 5. And I'm not going to Crush the Weak, because I do want to play around the Jarl still. If I Crush the Weak, I'm killing their 1/1 at the cost of potentially killing my 5/5 if they have a Jarl or something. So, like, the upside is so very minuscule. Like, their 1/1's not really doing anything. We can hold off on it to be a little safer about it. Ravenous Lindworm with 2 mana up thanks to Glittering Frost, so they could still have the Jarl mana. Either way, we don't really get to attack into a 6/6 now. I suppose I could with Crush the Weak, but if I'm attacking in with these, then this just trades with their 4/4. This dies there, and then I Crush the Weak, kill that, and I don't have any attackers anymore anyway. So I think we play a Thought Thief and a Sfella. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana right now. Yeah, Thought Thief and Sfella and just kind of chill. Just hang out. Oh, well, holding right there means that their Foretold card might be Counterspell. Either way, I'm going to try to get Sfella out. If it's a Counterspell, at least we get rid of it. Our opponent doesn't have great attacks against us, so I think we still have a solid setup even without a Sfella. Because we're going to draw another Bergstrider. If they ever attack with Lindworm, we can kill it at the cost of only one of our creatures, and then we can start attacking our opponent after that. With a third Bergstrider coming up. I guess it's only the second one. One of these Bergstriders is a clone. Morit of the Frost. So they did exactly what our land did. I guess that gets 2 +1/+1 counters. Our land just gets 1. But that is pretty solid. Draw a card off of it too. Play Bergstrider, tap their 6/6, but then I don't really attack in. I could send it with my 5/5 and trade with their 5/5. I think we're just trying to draw like our flying creatures or our flying room, but we've already lost a couple flying creatures this game, have we? No, that was last game. I've just not cast a single flying creature all game. Okay. Yeah, we're just trying to draw flyers then. We're firmly in a board stall. Behold the Multiverse from our opponent, allowing them to scry 2 and draw 2. One of the best blue commons easily, a very good draw spell at instant speed as well, with Foretell versatility. Finn the Fangbearer, 1/3 Death Touch. Luckily our boards are large enough that that's not very scary. I can just block with a Draugr Thought Thief. However, The Lijar Glade Warden is quite scary. I guess they don't have any creatures in their grave yet, but once they do, they get to start putting 2+1/+1 counters on one of their creatures every turn, at the cost of exiling a creature from their grave each time. Now I have 1,000,000 replicating rings out. I'm about to get 1,000,000 more off the second one, so I just never need to play this land, so I might as well hold up the lands just in case they have discard spells. Crush the Weak still kills just a single 1/1 on their side, so just not doing that. I could attack with my 5/5, but then I just trade with Finn now, so... And sending in the all attack, they'd have to make a really bad block for Crush the Weak to be good, because they can just trade on board with so many things. They just trade the Death Touch for the 5/5, eat my 4/4, trade with that, and then now Crush the Weak gets rid of their 5/5, but it gets rid of my 3/2. So I think just overall not great. Well, now you just double block here. Block here. See what they have at instant speed. I was gonna say on board this is pretty good for me. Traded a 4/4 into a 6/6. And my smallest creature into their Death Toucher. I guess this does get them some creatures in their graveyard to start pumping up their other stuff. Yeah, that is the power of the Glade Warden. Just any attacks they make are now very good for them, because even when they're losing creatures, they're just pumping up other stuff. Yeah, pretty solidly dead here. One of the things to consider here is, while it might feel like I'm getting monumentally flooded, I'm really not. Our opponent just has a good mana sink. The only reason it looks like I'm getting super flooded is because I have 16 mana chilling over here, but that's because I just got it off of these mana rocks. I guess I could lose this game and then just be like, oh, come on, I drew 3, 6... 22. I drew 24 mana. That's ridiculous. But it's not really. I don't want to trade my 4/4 for that, but I can't double block and kill either of those. Those are just lethal if I don't block them. Yeah, we're super dead. Glade Warden definitely winning this game here. Oh. I think the big turning point of this game was not being able to get a single 4/4 off our Waking the Trolls. Not hitting a land any turn after we played it was really rough, and our opponent getting a land every turn when we did play it. It was just the perfect lineup of us getting 0 lands and our opponent getting all 3 for the next 3 turns. However, our opponent was drawing a ton of cards this game off of pack mates and stuff, so they were pretty guaranteed to hit decent things. I think I'm like dead no matter what here, but I guess I'll Crush the Weak to kill one of their creatures and then play my 1 blocker. I block there, take super lethal. I'll just play the land. Our opponent's not going to play around some random card and not get lethal here. That's just not going to happen. I'm going to die no matter what. So we'll just show them the land. Alright, so we didn't quite make it to 7 wins this time around, but still a really solid performance from this teamer deck. Just green, blue, splashing red mostly for a couple powerful trolls, Svella and Waking the Trolls. Crush the Weak as well, which did a ton of work in one of the games against that blue-white Flyers deck, but overall actually didn't do a lot, especially in that last game that Crush the Weak looked, ironically, quite weak. So anyways, overall, quite a good draft. Had a fun time. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you want to see more of this content, stick around right where you're at and keep doing what you're doing. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that. If you want to catch me live whenever I'm playing some extra games, I have a Twitch channel with the link in the description. Same username as here, just GomletX. And yeah, that is going to be the end of today's Kaldheim Premier Draft. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you again tomorrow for some more Magic Arena.